This week's blog post is on issues about getting more enjoyment from paintings you love into print. This is part 1. Earlier this year I published Getting More Enjoyment from Sculpture You Love, a collection of essays on how to look closely at sculpture. One of my upcoming projects is a companion volume, Getting More Enjoyment from Paintings You Love. It will include essays I've written over the past 25 years or so, most of which are previously unpublished. As I work on it, I'll be writing occasional posts about issues that arise. And the very first issue was, do I have enough material for a book, or will I need to write additional essays? I went through the items in my writing folder on the computer, which are tidily organized in chronological order, in order to find out. The first batch of essays I wrote on this topic was in the mid-1990s. By that time I had been working for several years on a method of looking carefully at an artwork to determine its theme. For why I was intrigued by that question, see Chapter 1 in Getting More Enjoyment from Sculpture You Love. I was excited to share my ideas and receive feedback, but how would I do that? Traditional publishers have always been wary of publishing full-color art books by unknown authors. The cost of quality color printing is so high that only a few such books ever recoup their expenses. In the 1990s, self-publishing with good quality color illustrations was not yet an option. To work around this problem, to circumvent it, I eventually switched to self-publishing books on sculpture, which could have black and white illustrations. But first I tried a workaround for a book on paintings. I searched for a relatively inexpensive book with high-quality color illustrations of a wide variety of paintings. Finally I settled on Michael Wilson's The National Gallery, London, published in 1982. I chose 11 paintings in it that ranged from portraits of a single figure to complex groups, and I've shown them to you in this slide. Using other illustrations in the book for comparison and contrast, I worked through the 11 paintings, refining my method of looking at details and stating themes. It took a couple exhausting but exhilarating years to get the collection of essays ready for publication. And then it turned out that the National Gallery's book had gone out of print. The gallery didn't offer any acceptable substitute, so I've sadly filed the Word document away and worked on other projects. One of the other projects was the 1996 Lyceum Lectures. In 1996, under the auspices of Lyceum International, painter Sylvia Beaucourt and I gave lectures on art in Washington, Boston, and Toronto. My talk included analyses of 5 paintings. I also worked up a series of questions on one painting in each city so that the participants could analyze a work mostly on their own, rather than having me peer over their shoulder. The Lyceum Lectures were not recorded or published. 3 years later, I did an essay on Vermeer's Geographer at the invitation of Sylvia Beaucourt. It was published in the newsletter of the Association of Objectivist Businessmen. I've published that particular essay on my website and as a YouTube video. Links to that are in the blog post. In 2007, I published an article, How to Analyze and Appreciate Paintings. This was my 3rd article for the Objective Standard, and it included analyses of 2 paintings at the Frick Collection in New York City, plus questions about a 3rd painting at the Frick. The year after that, 2008, the Cordair Gallery sponsored a terrific week-long series of art lectures, demonstrations, and performances above Royal Caribbean's Voyager of the Seas. I gave several lectures on art history, plus one talk on analyzing and evaluating art. That talk included discussion of 3 paintings. When I was looking through my files, I came across my blurb for the Arts Cruise, and it's really quite good. I have to remember to incorporate a version of this in the upcoming book. The blurb said, "Learn to look longer at any artwork that intrigues you, to understand it better and to enjoy it more. We will study and evaluate several paintings and sculptures, using works from the art history lectures for comparative material. What effect is conveyed by that pose, that texture, that composition? How do you determine the theme of a work of visual art, and how do you objectively evaluate the piece? This method for looking at an artwork with an informed and inquisitive eye was inspired by Ayn Rand's writings on aesthetics." So it turns out I have plenty of material for getting more enjoyment from paintings you love. I was skimming the essays as I found them, And it's obvious that I've learned a lot over the last 25 years, which is a good thing, of course, but unfortunately that means the essays are going to require considerable revision and updating before they'll work as part of a coherent book. Stay tuned for discussion of the issues that revision will involve. DianeDuranteWriter.com has hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, Central Park, and my other obsessions. To join the free Sunday recommendations email list, visit the URL that's on the screen or email me. And you can say, "Well done, Diane," or support my work and receive rewards by means of the tip jar on DianeDuranteWriter.com. Thanks as always for listening.